There have been calls for China, or should I be more specific, the Chinese Communist Party, to be sued in an attempt to recover the vast sums of money that have and are still being spent on protecting the world from the Wuhan or COVID-19 virus. How successful would that be, and are there any alternatives? These and other similar questions I will comment on, but please help this channel by giving this video a like. Every like will help the YouTube algorithm. Thank you in anticipation. Donald Trump, during his election campaign, stated that Mexico would pay for the construction of the border wall between Mexico and the USA. The construction has started, and has Mexico paid for any of it? No, I don't think so. But there are other ways to make them pay. By this I mean tariffs and costly border restrictions. Have these been put in place? I don't know, but there will be time during Trump's second term, and yes, he will win, as the Democrats have chosen a very weak candidate in Biden. Yes, there is little doubt that the virus originated in the wet markets of Wuhan, and that the Chinese Communist Party tried to cover it up. The world is now paying a very high price for this corruption. The alternative of it escaping from a government-run laboratory is just too terrible to contemplate. There have been calls from the do-good lefties to stop calling this virus the Chinese or Wuhan virus, as such a label is xenophobic. Complying with that demand is stupid, as viruses have been named after where they started for years. The Ebola virus came from the Ebola River, the Spanish flu from Spain, and MERS or Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome are all examples. Why should China be any different? The spread of the virus is not the fault of the Chinese people as a whole, just their communist government for whom life does not matter, only the saving of face. That is why, when the doctors who were attempting to alert the world to the virus were silenced, and I believe in some cases made to disappear. In this I also put a significant responsibility on the World Health Organization, whom it appears is in the pay of the Chinese Communist Party. The current head of the World Health Organization was the nominee of the Chinese, who therefore has the largest say in what the World Health Organization does and says. And the WHO, or World Health Organization, has called this virus 100% wrong from the beginning. Why? Because the Chinese Communist Party ordered it. Also, if you believe the virus numbers coming out of China, you could be considered quite gullible. China has experienced very rapid growth of its manufacturing industries, mainly because of its very low labor costs, and totally ignoring the global warming scam. China has therefore been able to undercut the rest of the world with its pricing. Western democracies have used the free trade argument and the lower cost of goods as reasons for dealing with China. Has China reciprocated with fair trade practices? No, it has not, with examples such as currency manipulation, the stealing of knowledge, and the financial backing of the Chinese Communist Party being used to grow businesses. These at a faster rate than would otherwise be possible. In fact, most businesses, particularly the large international ones like the telecom giant Huawei, are, I believe, still effectively owned and are always controlled by the Chinese Communist Party and not its citizens. So how do we get the Chinese Communist Party to pay for the devastation that the world has experienced following the clear cover-up by the Chinese Communist Party? First, the Chinese Communist Party will not recognize any court that does not find in its favor, so will not pay any fines imposed. Therefore, any court action is a total waste of time and money. What needs to be done is to get the world as a whole to reduce its financial commitments with China. Unfortunately, getting 5 guys to agree to boycott a service station is hard enough, let alone 200 plus countries to boycott China. Impossible. China is using its allowances under the global warming restrictions to build more and more coal-fired power plants, so making its energy prices cheaper than the rest of the world. This, along with its low labour prices, is its competitive advantage. In Australia, they cannot compete on wage rates, but it can, with its vast reserves of coal, compete on the price of its electricity. Australia should use this advantage and don't export it. Forget global warming. It is not happening. When a real crisis comes along, like the Wuhan COVID-19 crisis, you see how the world really reacts. Bring manufacturing home. It is happening in Japan, where the government is offering subsidies for its companies to return from China and manufacture back in Japan, and lesser subsidies for moving plants to other countries such as India. There are calls for Australia to become less dependent on China and bring some of its critical manufacturing back home. Things such as drugs, PPE and the like. If manufacturing is very labour intensive, then shift it from China to India or one of the other Asian countries that are not governed by despotic communist governments. In the industry that I am involved in, commuter buses, the buses are built in China, but we could do the bodies in New Zealand, as is happening with the more sophisticated tour coaches, etc. Yes, they would be more expensive, but how expensive is the current crisis and the associated borrowing going to be? A small example, but we do need to be less dependent on China for our imports, as does the rest of the world. In this way, the Chinese Communist Party will pay, and hopefully in time with its own existence. Drop any thought of using Huawei for the 5G networks, as the Chinese Communist Party will be using the technology to spy on you. We in New Zealand are coming through the initial crisis, but how and when do we get out of the lockdown? We need some ideas as soon as possible, or our economy will collapse. A subject for a future video. Well, that is the end of this video. Please do comment, as I do like these missives to be more than a one-way street. Please don't forget to subscribe and click on the little bell to see when I upload the next video. Also, sharing this video with friends and family would also be appreciated. Thanks for watching Captain Cookie's commentary, and we will see you next time.